Hello everyone. Today's poem is 自京赴奉先县咏怀五百字 by 杜甫. This poem is my personal condolence to George Floyd, and it's also the condemn to the racist in the United States or all over the world. The United States used to be one of my favorite places. The people are so kind. The freeway is so nice. It's a pleasure to drive on the freeways, and they're some of the best cities in the world. And I've been to the East Coast, West Coast, the Chicago, some central states, and one of my favorite cities, the New Orleans. I like the people there. They are the genius of singers, and on the street you can hear so many nice jazz music by the African Americans. I love them so much, and but all changed since roughly 3 years ago. I paid a visit to San Diego and San Francisco, one of my favorite cities in the United States. There are so many homeless in these two cities, especially in the San Francisco. When the sun goes down, the central city, the downtown area, basically is just like some of the films in the vampires, and the smell is terrible. So many homeless living on in this area. So it's these people are quite friendly. Basically, they don't do any harm to other people, but it looks so terrible, I guarantee you. And since that time, my intimacy with the United States has gone, because there's too much people living in poverty. There should be something really, really wrong with the United States government, the rulings, or some of the cultural things. And I always wish the people have a better life, no poverties, and the people treat each other with equally the same way. But the United States changed fundamentally. What a pity. And this poem basically is one of the masterpieces by Du Fu, described just 20 days before the civil war of the Tang Dynasty. And Du Fu actually feel something or smelled out something through his poems, his real experiences, that something is really bad in that time in the Tang Dynasty. And he has the most famous wordings. Maybe not much of the people know it because it's such a sad wordings. 朱门酒肉臭，路有冻死骨. The big luxury villas, their wines soured, their meat went bad, but there's so many bones lay on the road, on the normal road. So the normal people is dying along the road. 朱门酒肉臭，路有冻死骨. So that's this wording is from this poem, and this is the real experience by Du Fu himself. I think there's some similarities with U.S. today, and I think this poem is also alert to everybody. Don't do that again, and try to treat people equally, and avoid the poverty, and feed all the people with enough foods, and condemn those richest people. They have paid not even the minimum attention or respect to the normal peoples. Okay, maybe I say too much today, and I think everybody, if they have the sympathy, they are human. I think they have many things shared with me, same things shared with me. We share the same feelings, and actually we can see this happen in the history in the Tang Dynasty. So this poem basically was written in the year 755 in the October, the lunar calendar October, and the civil war broke in the lunar calendar, the same year lunar calendar, November, at the beginning of November. So basically it's just 1 month before the civil war broke. So after 10 years the civil war, the Tang Dynasty, China, totally changed. So along the Yellow River areas, basically this is the most fertile and rich place, most popular place in China at that time. And in the history book, it said that for 1,000 miles along the Yellow River, there's no families around. You cannot find families around. Some of the very accurate history records is typically is like this. This county before the war maybe have 30,000 families, and after the Civil War, this county only has 200, 300 families. So that's the Civil War. That's the huge disaster brought to the Chinese, brought to the Tang Dynasty. And this, I do believe, is because of the ruling is so bad, and the social structures is not leveled. The rich is so rich, the poor is so poor. For the poet himself, Du Fu just got a job in his age of 43. So he's in poverty for quite a long time. Even he was so famous for his talent in the literature, on his knowledge whatsoever. But he even cannot get a job in the central government. But his own will is stick to become an officer who can contribute to the country some way. We can see that in this poem as well. And so he got a job. This is a big deal for him after his 43 years of life. And then he asked for a leave and go to the a place northeast to the capital city, roughly 150 kilometers away, where his home was hosted there. His wife, his children was living there in the county of Fengxian. Fengxian means pray to the ancestors. This is because the emperor of the time Du Fu wrote this poem, he buried his father, the previous emperor, to this county, and he renamed this county to express his condolence to his father. And this county so has a superior positions or level to normal counties. It reports to the capital, to the central government directly. So that's why it was called Fengxian. And maybe that's the reason the Du Fu put his family, his wife, in this place, it should be a well-off and well-managed county. Okay, let's start the poem now. The title, 自京赴奉先县咏怀500字, it tells very clearly, I'm coming from the capital, the Chang'an city, to the county of Fengxian, and express my feeling with 500 characters. So you can see that one pair of sentence contains 10 characters. So 500 characters means 50 pair of sentence. So that's a long narrative poem, very long. And I won't go too much of the details to that. I would be more focused on the background and the meaning of this poem. It could be divided into 3 parts or 3 big paragraphs. Let's go to the first one. 杜陵有布衣，老大一转桌，许身一合于，窃比寄于器。Duling is a place that Du Fu lived in the capital city. It's basically the south suburb to the Chang'an city. You can see from this map, this is a road map for Du Fu, where he lived, and then he lived his own house in the capital city and go to the northeast to his families, where his wife lived. So in this place, I lived in this place as a normal person. 布衣 means a normal person. I'm getting aged, but I'm getting more stupid. I'm more foolish. So it's just like the stay foolish things. So he said, I'm getting foolish. So actually they are with the same philosophy. Stay foolish. 许身一合于，窃比寄于器。I made my own wish, but that looks so stupid. My wish is to be the Ji and the Qi. So this two person is very, very ancient emperors, or even some of the folk songs or epic stories. The figures in the epic stories is roughly 4,000, really 5,000 years ago's figure. It's not in any we don't have any archaeology evidence, but they are always treated as the most wisdom and nice governor or rulers in the history. So this two-pair sentence means I'm living in Duling as a normal person, and I am getting old, but I'm getting more foolish. And my personal will is such a stupid. I compared myself to those the most wisdom and nice governor rulers in the history. 居然城郭落，白首甘气阔. So I just my social level just stay fallen down to this stage, and my hair turns white, but I still work diligently. 甘气阔 normally in another poem means to be parted with the families, but here it means work diligently. 盖棺事则已，此志常记华. Until I'm buried with the coffins, with the cover of coffin closed. Otherwise, this will be always there. So here tells he's a very, very poor man, but he have a great wish and will to to do something great for the people, for the country, and he's getting aged, old, but his will be never changed until he died. So this is the first 4 pair of sentences. Okay, let's continue. 穷年忧离原，叹息肠内热. So these years, those years is poor years. It's not good years. So I'm so worried about the average person. 梨园 means average person, and always signs and my feelings and my emotions is so hot. So here the 肠 is intestines, and the Chinese believe that's the gut come from, so the emotions come from. So what this means, when he saw the poverty and the normal people not living a good life, he was always his emotion turned on. He want to do something. 取笑同学翁，好歌迷激烈. So I was laughed by my classmates and by my colleagues, but I fearlessly sing the loud songs by myself. I don't care about them. They are laughing to me. 飞舞江海志，潇洒送日月。生逢尧舜君，不忍变永绝. So at this 2 pair of sentences, the poet Du Fu has a second thought, or just had a self-explanations, because the Chinese philosophy is you can do something big for the country, for the people, you do something great, or you can just be a hermit. So there's always at least 2 ways in front of you, because Du Fu has expressed so much difficulties to achieve his goals. So very naturally, everybody, or Du Fu himself, can will think about the second way, to be a hermit. So this 2 pair of sentences just explained. I actually have thought about another way, 江海志. The 江海志 means the hermit, to be a hermit, to take a huge boat floating on the river and on the seas, and lead a life very freely, with freedom. 潇洒送日月. So 潇洒 means lead a very happy and free life. Anyhow, he cannot do that because 生逢尧舜君，不忍变永绝. In this life, I happily encountered the most wisdom emperor. That's the main reason I cannot say farewell to this emperor. And this is a great opportunity for me to do something, to help the emperor to achieve something for the country, for the people. The term 尧舜君, 尧舜 is the most wise, generous, nice emperor in the Chinese history, and this is basically the alternative term even till today. The best rulers, the best governor, the best emperor. The life goal of Du Fu can be convinced from his poems through his lifelong time. So in another poem, it made it very clear. 治君尧舜上，在使风苏春. So I come to serve my emperor, to make him much better than the most wisdom emperor, Yao and Shun, and make the country a much better place, with purity, with honesty, with wealth. 当今郎庙具，构煞起云缺。魁祸清太阳，物性故莫夺. So this 2 pair sentence tells that the government today is very complete and concrete. There's no need for more persons or talents. The talent is full of in the government, but for himself, 杜甫compared himself as two plants, 葵 and 霍. Their nature is toward the sun. The sun, of course, is implied to the referring to the emperor. So he said, actually, the government today is quite full of talent. It doesn't lack of me, but just by his nature, Du Fu stick to his personal goals, personal will, and he always pursue this opportunity toward the emperor, toward the country. 故为蝼蚁背，但自求其穴。胡为目大惊，折逆眼明薄。以自物生理，独齿是干叶。呜呜遂至今，忍为尘埃没。终愧曹于游，未能益其节。沉吟聊自浅，放歌破愁绝。So this is a long poem. I'm to be speed up. So this sentence here I read actually further try to reason his behavior, his past. So look, 惟故蝼蚁背. Look at those ants like people. So those people he don't look on, and they just care the things, the interest of themselves. Why should I to follow the way of the whale, the whale in the ocean? That the whale of the ocean means something big, or the things big. So why should I follow the whale to go to the vast ocean to do something big? And because of that, 以自物生理, my life was totally ruined. I lead a poor life all the time until this age, and almost buried by all those life, by the dust. And I feel shameful toward the most famous hermit, Chao and You, because to be a hermit is always a way, but I didn't follow these two great famous hermits. I still keep my wish and will as the very beginning. So as such, I just drink a lot to help to resolve my sadness and my sorrows, and I always sing out loud to break the sorrows and negative feelings. 放歌破愁绝. The first portion, the first big paragraph basically tells who am I. I had a strong wish to contribute to this country, to the people, and but I failed to do that. And today I'm with white hair. I'm getting old, but I never changed this will, even in a very, very poor status. Now the second paragraph. 岁暮百草林，疾风高岗列。天衢阴峥嵘，客子终夜发. So it's at the end of the year. All the grass, they went dry and died. The harsh wind blow the high rock, broken the high rock, and the big white road around the capital is dark and it's very difficult. And I'm leaving my house in the midnight. 双眼衣带断，只知不得节。凌晨过骊山，欲踏在叠啮。 When about to start, my finger is straight and stiff and cannot tie up my broken belt. And when about to leave, and when past the Li mountain at the dawn time, I know the emperor was sleeping in the high above mountain somewhere. So the Lishan is a villa for the emperor, and it's a very famous place even today. And in the winter time, the emperor very likely to went there because there's hot springs, so they spent the whole winter there. 是由塞寒空，蹴踏崖谷滑，瑶池气郁绿，雨林香摩荚。So the heavy fog make the cold air colder, and when I climb up and go down the small hills and valleys, it's so sleepy. In the royal villa, the smells is so nice, and the guard for the emperors, the troops for the emperors, their weapons clicks with sound. 君臣留欢娱，乐动音交隔。次玉皆长缨，羽燕飞短鹤。So the emperor and the officers, they have big parties. They have a lot of entertainments. The music even moved the mountains. And the hot spring that the emperor gave to the people under him, they are all the high-ranking officers. And when they have the big dinners, all the participants, there's no normal person, which means they are all the high-ranking officers or royal families. 廷统所分币，本自韩女出，鞭大其夫家，聚敛共成缺。So in that royal court, all the gifts from the emperors, they are from the normal families, from the women in the normal families. They make the silk clothes, they make the all kinds of things to be the present in this royal court. And their husband was whipped to carry all these things to the capital, to this royal court. 圣人匡斐恩，时欲邦国活。臣如呼至礼，君岂赐此物。The emperor gave so many gifts to the high-ranking officers for the sake to do some good for the country, to let these officers to do their best to serve the country. If those officers, they don't know this wish from the emperors, those gifts is just useless, or it's a waste of gift by the emperor. 多事迎朝廷，仁者以战力。况闻内金盘，尽在未获事。多事 means so many talent officers. They are crowded in this government. But if you are a person with sympathy, with a human heart, you should be shaked. You should be careful, because Du Fu think the current status is not a good status, so you don't do a good governance, you don't make the best you don't make the best efforts to serve the people, the average people. So you should be very shameful. You're shaken to receive these gifts. And the best gifts, 内金盘, the golden plate in the royal court, the royal golden plate was gave to the brother-in-law of the emperor. So this brother-in-law, Yang Guozhong, actually served as the prime minister. So these two pair of sentences actually said the emperor actually gave a lot of the support gifts to the officers in the hope they can do something good to the country. Of course, in turn, do something good to the emperor. But actually, Du Fu thought they are all the bad governors. And most importantly, the most valuable luxury gift goes to the brother-in-law, the Prime Minister Yang Guozhong. He was considered the worst guy of that time by a lot of people. He do a great harm to the country, to the people. And in fact, when the rebellion started the civil war, they claim that they don't put down the emperor. They just come to the capital to kill this bad guy, Yang Guozhong. 中堂五神仙，烟雾散于至，暖客雕鼠裘，杯管竹青色. So these two pair sentences describe the fathers-in-law's home or villa. They are dancing happily, and they wear very fine silk, just like frog, which is see-through, very thin, and actually tell us it's a very, very warm place. And the guests around, they wear the thick furs, and the music played all along. So actually they're telling how luxury the party, the dinner, they are holding all the time in this place. 劝客驼蹄羹，双城压香柚，朱门酒肉臭，路有冻死骨. And the host always are very courteous to the guest and helped them with the very luxury soup made of the feet of camel, 驼蹄羹. And the fruits from the far south, the orange, even with frost, are all around. But outside of this red door of this villa, in the door, in the red door, 朱门酒肉臭, the wine soured, the meat, the dishes went bad with smells. While outside there were frozen bones on the main road. The frozen bones refers to dead people. So this is a huge contrast between the rich and poor. And there's another explanation. 朱门酒肉臭, the meat and the wine, the smell is so delicious and flowing everywhere. And this also is a very good explanation as well. 荣枯咫尺意，惆怅难再述. The life and death is just between by feet. And the poet feels such a sorrow and sadness, he cannot say even a word anymore. Okay, that's the second paragraph. So this is described, he started his journey from the south suburb of the capital city, and in the morning he get to the place of Lishan, the Li Mountain, where the emperor and all the high-ranking officers, they spend their winter holidays there in the luxury, with many luxury parties, music, dancings, luxury food, and just outside of the huge red door of the royal villas, people are dying, are frozen to die, hungry, because of hunger, because of freezing. People are dying along the road, just separated by feet, but only by the red doors. So that's what do you feel about that? And this actually happens at the most prosperous Tang's time, at the peak hours of the Tang's time. The richer is getting richer and more luxury. The general people are dying because of hunger, because of the frozen weather. And then in the real history, just half months later after this point, the civil war, the Anshi turmoil broke, and then 10 years war followed, and then 90%, 80% of people has gone along this river, along the Yellow River, among these areas. So what a huge disaster. Okay, the third paragraph. Life has moved on, and杜甫 's journey has to move on. 北元旧境未，官渡又改折。群兵从西下，极目高筑屋。So he went northward bound, crossed the river Jing and Wei, and the fort, after the fort, they changed to a small, narrow road. And look to the west. It's an icy world, just like the ice is floating down from the high above, from the west. It's so high in the west. And it just doubt it's from the end of the world, from the mountain, Kongtong, and he's afraid if the sky, the pillar of the sky has broken, so the sky tiled, and that's why so many ice was poured down to the ground. So here actually, I don't think it's too much of brag. There's a believing for the Chinese that the huge disaster was always showed by the heaven, some way. Let's see the unusual weather, some of the pandemics or earthquakes. That's all the signs that the heaven tried to show to the people that you don't do well, and then a disaster will come down to the earth, to the people. So here, actually, Du Fu write about these extreme weathers. He want to express some disaster would happen because the heaven show us something quite different. 河梁性未彻，支撑生息苏。行旅相攀援，川广不可越。老妻寄义县，石口隔风雪。谁能久不顾，戍往共饥渴。So the journey continues. When he crossed the river, the bridge is still there, not collapsed. But when they crossed the bridge, the wood bridge make it sounds so dangerous and almost broken, and there's more valleys and rivers, and it looks so wide, and the people are crawling along the along the journey. So because of the hard weather described before, the normal journey became so hard for everyone, and this is also some of the very negative sign from the heaven. Anyhow, he feels some of the luckiness. The bridge is still there, even it's not very well. It's sounding that when you stamp on the bridge, it's make sounds have a lot of strange sound, but they make it. And until now, the third paragraph, he just talked about why he made this journey. My old wife was living in that county temporarily, and the 10 people of our family are separated by the snow and wind. So we know his family has 10 peoples, and on this journey, maybe he's one, of course, and maybe 2 others, and at least on the county with his wife, there are 7 to 9 people there. So he's paying a visit to his family there. 谁能久不顾? How could someone don't turn back to his home for a long time to endure such a long time of separations? Even is hungry there, is thirsty there, I would share the same thirsty and hungry with my families. 书往攻饥渴. So here, Du Fu write about the hard journey and also why he made this journey. His wife and basically the whole family is living there, and he's just settled down with his position in the capital, and then he just have a leave applied for a vacation to visit his home, and also to give them a good news that, okay, I got a job, you don't need to worry anymore, we have money, we can live a better life now. 入门闻嚎啕，幼子饥已足，吾宁舍一哀，李相以乌焉。 When I just about to get into my family stall, I heard loud crying. My youngest son dead because of hunger. How could I avoid my sadness? And my neighborhood also, you heard the cryings from my neighborhood as well. 所愧为人父，无时至夭折。岂知秋河灯，贫瘠有苍足。 So feel so shameful to be a father that I didn't made enough money and food for my kids, and because of hunger and made my youngest son dead. In a harvest season this year, how could I know my son died of hunger? What a sadness, and what a bad country, a bad time. 生长以免租，名不立征伐。抚济犹辛酸，平人故骚谢。Now I just got a position in the government, so I'm tax-free. And I even don't need to be enrolled in the army. I'm afraid of the army, the duty to be enrolled in the army, because I'm an officer in the central government now. With such, I feel so humble and sadness for my poor living, not to say the normal people. They need to pay the tax. They need to fulfill the duty to be enrolled in the army. And when I further thought about those people lost their job. So basically in the Asian China, lost their job means they lost their land, their farmland. So this is also convinced by the history that in this time that the richer get richer, the poor is poor, and the poor people finally, a lot of poor people lost their land. So here, 莫思失业图. So I'm silently thought about those people who lost their land. And I thought about those people who was fulfill their duty in the army. 因念远戍族. The people fulfill their duty in the army in the far from, in the frontier areas. 忧端其中难. My sorrow, my worry, my sadness finally equals the height of the South Mountains. 轰动不可多. The huge hole cannot be managed, cannot be filled with something. So today we even have the word 心里空荡荡的. So my heart feels so empty. My heart is empty, which means was so lost, totally lost their mind and lost their feelings. This is the aftermath of the sadness. So at the very beginning, when he entered his own home, the huge sadness of losing his young child, his son. And then from the nature of 杜甫, so that's why 杜甫 is different from most of the people. Why 杜甫 is so great. He sees the sorrow, the sadness, others' sadness. If he sees other sorrows from his own sadness, from his own sorrow. So from the death of his son, he thought about the average people. He actually was in a much better status, social status or economical status. So how about an average family? How they managed to live in this time being, in this most prosperous Tang period? How could they make their living? They need to pay the tax. They need to serve in the army. And the weariness was so huge and so high. It equals the height of the high mountain of the South Mountains. And the emptiness can never be filled, which means the sadness, the sorrows, the worries can never be solved. So this is the last of this poem. 朱门酒肉臭，路有冻死骨。In the red door of the royal villa, the wine and meat went bad with smile. And just outside of that red door, people are dying. So this is the greatest wordings by Du Fu, and it's somewhat relevant today. I think it's relevant from time to time. And I saw more and more homeless, and I saw some racist, and I saw Protestant. Today's world, we are wrong. Definitely we are wrong. And we need to think about something to resolve it. Okay, bye-bye for today.